Hello. Cathar Love 73. God is dying. Long live the Creator. Another expression, God is dead. This is Nietzsche and the philosopher, and he didn't actually literally mean God is dead. What he meant was, because of the rise of science, people were changing their beliefs. The morality, the Christian morality that was dying from the way people behaved, Christian morality had lost its relevance. So he meant God is dying, or God is dead in that respect. And that was true. Things were changing. And that Christian morality, living your life, a Christian life, didn't have the relevance that it once did. Of course, from a Gnostic point of view, Cathar point of view, we look at so-called God differently. And in fact, we don't say God, because the moment one says God, one has a vision of an old man or lights or something. And whereas the Christian, as against the Christian God, the Gnostic or the Cathar God is an unknown. We know of it because of various qualities, but it is unknown in real terms. Only the source knows the source. On the subject of God, the Sunday school teacher was asking or questioning her young class, and she posed the question, does God have a name? And one little Johnny, hands up, yes, he said, you obviously know. She said, what's God's name? And he went, Harold. She said, well, how do you work that out? And he said, our Father who art in heaven, Harold is thy name. Harold. So it was good enough for him. So to the Cathar, to the Gnostic, the Christian God, Islamic Judaic God, has no real relevance for us. From the Gnostic literature, from the amount of work that's been uncovered today, mainly people under hypnosis, deep hypnosis, where not only we go from the conscious to the subconscious, but actually going to a very, very deep hypnosis. It's the superconscious. And at that level, people in that particular state, in most cases, refuse or just shy away whenever the question is posed, tell me about God. In that particular state, they always, or invariably, and or in most cases, refer to the divinity, the presence, the unknown presence, but this presence, this energy, as the source, which is the Gnostic term or the Cathar term for the Creator, which is unknown. So to us, God, in some respects, doesn't exist. It's not because we don't adhere to the Christian God. If we do, it's not as Satan, which some of the early Gnostics did, because they had God here and Satan here, and they thought, well, a good God can't create the world as it is, so there must be a bad God over here, a lesser God. Well, this is going back 2,000 or 3,000 years, and this was their way of adjusting their idea about God. And then you came, of course, to and then you had Socrates and Plato, and they talked about a demiurge, a lesser God, a light that broke away from the source and created the cosmos, the universes, and mankind on earth as we know it. But they didn't attribute any goodness or evil, it was just a situation. And really it's beyond our knowing. In deep hypnosis, at the super subconscious level, there is this presence, this energy, and all souls, or sometimes they talk as fragments of the source, they wish to reunite, return to the source. And this is the basis, or one of the tenets, of Gnosticism and Catharism. There is this deep, deep yearning, and it's not an easy thing to explain. So let's look briefly at the process. Upon creation, we are given the gift of immortality, immortality for eternity. We simply do not die. We come into existence. Now, people at the super subconscious level, we don't all become human. We can go to, there's other different types, and there's different types that are created for different purposes. But there's a group that, for their own particular choice, prefer to come to Earth. And Earth is, and for Earthlings, is an amazing place because it's a place of great pain, but it's also a place of great joy. And it's one of those planets that where we can grow quickly, provided we get to understand ourselves, what's going on, and we evolve. There are other planets and there are other beings, not just the aliens we tend to know about, but many other beings that we'll never know about, for they live underwater, or they float, or they're not in a situation where they could ever do interstellar travel. So most of our aliens tend to stick with about 4 different types. There's the tall whites, there's the Nordic, there's the greys, and there's also, I believe, there's hybrids, without going into that. But they're certainly here, and I must say that it's quite interesting. The Prime Minister, not the President of Russia, but the Prime Minister of Russia, he came out and he just said, no, I won't go to say his name because I might pronounce it incorrectly, but Meldev. Anyway, he said, and it's on YouTube, you can look for it. It's only a brief, interview, but he just said if the United States isn't going to open up about and get the truth about aliens, we will do it ourselves. And he referred to the Men in Black, and of course we know the movie Men in Black. It's a bit of a spoof about aliens, but what he was referring to was the Men in Black. It's the Russian documentary, and it's been closed down here and there, but you can still find it on YouTube, and they go through various people who've been involved with aliens, some have been abducted, and he said within that, he said you'll find plenty of truths in that if you wish to look it up. So this is a really big chink in the armour. The other person on that, which is helping opening things up, is the ex-defence minister of Canada, Paul Hellyer, and he just simply is talking openly about them and who they are and what they are. So this, now we talk about the death of God. If and when they do open up the files, they do show us what's going on here, because all major governments, certainly Russia, England, and the United States, they've got contact. There's a whole world out there which they're keeping from us. But the moment that does open up, and they do admit that they have contact with aliens, irrespective of the type, what happens then? Because these aliens have been with us for thousands of years, according to the Defence Minister and certainly others. Do they have their Buddha? Do they have their Christ? Do they have their Allah? Do they have their Muhammad? Or so forth? I think not. So their Abraham, Moses, these all just disappear. And not that these are not real and they're not relevant. These are real personalities as far as the history of Earth is concerned. But ours goes back a couple of thousand years. The aliens could go back for 1,000,000 years. And they've also, as I've said, some have been through their wars and they've had their various ups and downs and highs and lows, and they've had their share of prophets and various people like that. And through all that, they've learnt the fact that we have to learn to love each other and embrace each other and embrace each other's differences and so forth. And it would appear, luckily for us, that people who are human, we don't need to envy aliens in any way. You know, I don't know if they can enjoy a good wine the way we can. I don't know that they can enjoy the cuisine, the various cuisines, the Chinese, the French, and some of the wonderful cuisines throughout the world, even an Aussie barbecue. I don't know if they can have those same enjoyments. Certainly some of the aliens can't. And so, yeah, we have many things here to be happy with and thankful for. Our music, our literature, our art, wonderful things. But the moment this is admitted, then the whole new, not this God is dead so much as the values, the Christian values, the Judaic values, the Islamic values, the Buddhist values, a lot of these things that have been imposed on people, that there's no philosophy or there's no religion that isn't based on some truths which are wonderful. But unfortunately, and also the people who are the original prophets or whoever they happen to be, these are wonderful people, but religion has skewed that until it's just become a means of mass control in most cases. And you know, you're the chosen people, or he's the chosen people. It's a manner of devising people. And so, with the acceptance, and when the aliens are out there and are seeing the president in front of the lawn on the White House and going for a stroll, or down to Cape David or wherever it happens to be, or we see them having coffee with Putin or whatever. The moment we know that, and there's no argument about it, all these things just disappear. You know, it's not that there's the Creator, the origin of the universe, the source of the universe is there. And the thing about that is, with this gift of life that we have, this gift of immortality for eternity, this business of salvation and damnation disappear. And in fact, when one is involved with the spiritist or the spiritual movement, or one gets to know people who are mediums and real ones, I don't mean the charlatans, you understand there's only a veil separating us, and some people can see through that veil and some people can't. But it's all good news. It's good news. I mean, at the moment, with the various religions, and it doesn't matter really that much one, it's got people so they're scared to live and enjoy life to the full. If it's pleasure, there must be something wrong with it. And they go through life, and they're neither living life, but they're also not just scared of death, they abhor death. Well, in actual fact, death is the best thing that can happen to anyone. You're going through a portal, you're going back home, and the moment you're heading on your way home, you're not remotely interested in what's going on Earth, because sure, you've got loved ones here, and they're missing you, but you're not missing them, because it's very, very shortly they'll be joining you anyway. So they don't have this particular, well, you don't have envy and jealousy and all this grief, these human emotions that we're carrying on with. So at the moment, so many people are caught up in, they're scared of life and they're scared of death. When in actual fact, we have highs, we have lows, but we're there, we should be looking after ourselves and enjoying life, celebrating life, but also, when it's time to die, celebrating death. And when you can die, die with dignity. So, with the Gnosticism and Catharism, we should be embracing life, embracing knowledge, embracing science, embracing the fact that we have aliens there, we have brothers and sisters on other planets, and the other thing is that it would appear that these people are shepherding us. Whenever there's atomic bombs, whenever there was a crisis within the world, this is the time when the UFOs have appeared. And on this, if you see this Men in Black, both in America and in Russia, when they were going to open the fire, the silos with the atomic weapons that they could fire, intercontinental ballistic weapons, the computer systems were closed down. The aliens closed those computer systems. They want us to progress towards peace and love and tolerance, rather than some of the ways that we're going, because some of the religious moralities that we have are divisive and they're not bringing us together, and in many ways it's good that they die. So from the Gnostic and Cathar point of view, our beliefs, if you're an alien or from another world, you embrace them because they're universal. Loving another person and loving that person unconditionally, accepting that person as a person, accepting that they've got good aspects to them, and the potential for doing good and a potential for doing things that are not so good, we accept that. This is part of Gnosticism, part of Catharism. So we can live our lives to the full. We can have our joke. We can not, and at the end, when it's time to go, well, it's time to go, and we go with a big smile on our face. We're happy to live and happy to die, rather than being frightened of life and frightened of death. Bye for now. Talk to you soon.